Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Change starts now. From this point forward, brand new year, and you might be thinking of maybe making some changes relationship wise. Maybe it's professionally, your career, maybe hobbies, whatever it is. This is it. It's go time. And she's an amazing life coach with Wisdom Life Coaching. Genevieve Wisdom joins us again. Welcome back. How you doing, Genevieve?
I am doing fantastic, Steve. How are you today?
I'm doing very well. I love your background in your guitar music room. That's like super cool.
Excellent, excellent. I thought I would surprise you. I know you and possibly many of your valued listeners can, certainly understand music, guitar, and I know you're seeing the background right now. Does it bring back some memories for you?
Oh, it totally does. I love music. I used to have a guitar room. I have guitars in storage right now. I don't play. I just love music. But
Really?
that brings us into why is music so good? Because when you listen to music, there's a common beat, but then it changes, and you might go to a chorus, or you break it down at one point. It's change. And that also brings me that we're going to talk about change today, but that brings me
Yes,
to a song that came out 45 years ago.
yes,
Yeah. And it's David Bowie Changes. And one
yes.
of the lines in the song is turn and face the strange. Ch changes. And but that's why we don't embrace change, many of us, because it is strange and there's fear involved. How do you get
Yes.
past that fear when you're thinking about making a change? That's always the block usually that's in front of us.
Right, right. Steve, again, I just love how you understand life coaching and how life happens. And the question, how do we, change when there's fear? You actually change in the face of fear. If we are going to wait for fear to dissipate in areas of our life, especially areas that we need to change in, and for all of us, that's life. A wise man or woman once said, the only thing constant in life is change. And so, if we're going to wait for that fear to leave us, we will never change. And so, in my life coaching practice, that's what I help people to do because I've had to do it, and is to face the fear. And just like you said about the chorus of changes, um, you have to face what's strange, what's different, what's painful. And that's how a life coach comes in well because it's your championer. It's someone coming alongside you to say, okay, this might hurt a little. We're going to have to pull the band aid off. Some hairs might come out, but we have to do this for us to get to the next level. And that's life. We want to keep getting better, catapulting, going to next levels, higher and higher.
Mm. I have to say, in my journey, which has included in the last couple of years lots of changes, and I'm trying to compare it to other journeys, probably the most impactful in the changes. I don't like change. I'll be honest with you. Me personally,
Mm,
I'm a kind of not regimented, but I like things a certain way. I got I got past all of that. And I realized one thing in my journey in the changes. Once you start making changes, ones that really kind of rock your world a little bit or throw you off the foundation, like, whoa, whoa, wait, whoa. It's not so it's not so hard anymore. It's
yeah,
like, and I have a new mentality. Nothing surprises me. Nothing surprises
exactly,
me anymore. Where I
exactly.
used to be the complete opposite. What do you mean? What happened? What's going on? Really? What? 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 Now it's like, yeah, all right. Okay. All right. We roll with that. And oh, here's another song. Roll with it. Not Steve Winwood. Not Steve
Oh,
Winwood. All right. It's called Roll with the Changes by REO Speedwagon. Another rock song.
are you
Look at
swaggin'?
the lyrics. Get a roll with the
Yes,
changes. What a
yes,
great song. I got to tell
yes,
you, I've listened to that song at the gym like on repeat over and over again
right.
because it's a great song and it says a lot. But I think once you acclimate to the concept of change, it's maybe it's easier. It is for me. I don't know. Have you felt that?
100%, Steve. And that is what my valued clients and friends, because a lot of my clients do become friends, like about my type of coaching is that a lot of what I coach on, and that's how life coaches really are valuable. Often they've been to, I like to call it Life University. I didn't coin the term, but we've heard it. So I've had to change. And so for me, life's journey from a little girl born in a ghetto in Kingston, Jamaica, I never had a solid foundation. So I learned to change very, very young. A lot of these changes were painful. And it's the old adage, adapt or die. And I adapted. And so from that foundation, I love changing. And people go, how do you just move? I've been to 42 countries. I've lived out of suitcases. I've done many things. I've had to do things to survive. And I love changing. And so I come with that love of changing, like moving. I love moving. A lot of people, Stephen, you can probably really appreciate this, hate to move. And I go, no, it's
Yeah.
great. You pack up all that stuff, you see things that have been there for a long time, you reevaluate things, which is life. It's your life in your things, really. And then the great thing about change, and this is my foundation for changing, you don't have to get rid of everything. Of course not. We keep what's great foundationally. We keep the good stuff. We build on the good stuff because often, okay, I didn't really complete this, but it's good. You know, all of us have such good in our lives. So we build on the good stuff. And the things that are holding us back are not causing us to get to the next level, are not causing us to do things that people need us to do. We talked about that last week, Steve, even about your experience about having this vision, this dream of the next level of, I gather it's a business that you want to do. We get rid of the things that are kind of holding us back. And then we make that change. And it's incredible. You're absolutely right. Once we do it, change now becomes natural because it's life. We're continually changing,
Hmm.
continually.
What's your suggestion when somebody is considering making a change? Is it an action plan? Is it thinking it out? What's the process? All different types of changes. Let's yeah, you could pick one. Maybe it's a career change. How somebody works with a life coach and navigates that change.
Of course. And Steve, thank you for that. Again, a little about me because we're really getting to know me as a life coach. And I have done many things for a living, many different things. And I'm a consummate entrepreneur. I love businesses. I have started many small businesses. Many of them have seemingly failed. But you know what? There's never a failure. So when it comes to business, which is one of my passion, and as a matter of fact, I have a business coach that I have worked with for over 18 years, which has been invaluable to what I do now as a life coach, is you have a plan. You're 100% right. We touched on this last week as well. It doesn't matter what we want to do when it comes to changing, we write it down. And I know sometimes it's hard. We go, well, no, it's in my head. No, 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 no. We write it down. And you and I talked about old school meets new school. You know, a lot of people have their devices that they write on. I like to do pen and paper. So coming to a change, let's say a career change in the new year, great time for a career change. We write it down. And so we start with three simple things foundationally. That's why I love life coaching. I don't really like things to be so overtly big and deep. We can make them less complicated, easier. And so, my gift, take the complicated, make it easy. So, three things. Okay, let's look at what you want to change in your career. Build on what's good. So, we build on those transferable skills. With any career, we have skills that move from A to B. We build on that. We keep those, build on it. And then the things that we don't like about where we are, we evaluate those, we toss them, or we, put some fire to it. Because, and when I say fire, as a life coach, I have many different suggestions in different areas that we can get things going again. Sometimes it's just a stagnant goal. It's not frozen. We talked about frozen goals which are like, they're a glacier, they're an ice, and it's unrealistic, and you're going to be stuck there for life, and that's not what we want. So if they're frozen, get rid of it. But if they're just a little bit chilly, you're afraid to make the change, we can light those goals up for your career change in 2023. So those are the steps. Build on what's good, get rid of what's kept you stuck.
How about relationships? I know that you work,
Mhm.
that's all part of it. It's all part of us. When you work with somebody on a relationship level, let's say somebody's thinking about making a change, how do you help them process? I guess first off, is it the right change to make? Sometimes it's obvious.
Mhm.
Sometimes you're kind of in the middle, like maybe I should make a change. Any thoughts there?
Steve, relationships are always difficult because um, we have someone else's heart, including our own, at the crux of it. And we're
Right.
talking about love relationship. I'm just talking about, a couple relationship right now. And it's always so difficult. So as a life coach, and Steve, people might say, oh no, I'm just very unbiased. Of course, I care about you as an individual. But people come to different life coaches because of their personality, because of who they are. I will speak to a certain group and not to others. Well, for me, I love love. I'm full of love. I exude love. And so when someone comes to me and they're in a relationship that they may want to change from, we really have to take a little bit more time here because hearts are very different than career. And so we take our time, we see where the pain points are, and then possibly when it comes to a relationship, I may need to help them figure out a relationship counselor or something a little bit deeper if they're deep rooted things. But the number one thing in making a change in a relationship is you, Steve, Genevieve, whoever you are, we have a gift innately outside of our spouse, outside of the children. We have a gift. And if we're in a relationship that's really put the fire out, that's frozen us in that gift, then maybe it's time for a change. So we start on the surface, we see if we need to do more deep counseling in that relationship. But if something is frozen in ice, you'll never get it back, then maybe it's time to move. And that's how we would process that.
I gotta, it just dropped out of the sky, but a thought about the gut feeling, the intuition. When
Yes.
it's time to make a change or you feel that it's time to make a change, for you, how much does that come into play? Do you get a feeling inside where it's like, yep, I got that feeling and it says that, yeah, it's time to make a change? Do you feel, that call it intuition?
100%. And yes, I love to call it intuition. Let's do that um, for the purposes of getting to know, how I operate. And I believe in intuition. You know, that is the beauty of us being human. We're very complex and we have all these parts. Love, by the way, it's not a three-dimensional thing. It's in the fourth dimension. And that's why sometimes we get it so wrong in many, many different ways. But there is that intuition. That's a part of us that will tell us it's that gut knowledge, it's time. And 100% I put weight in that. Now, it depends where we are. Um, if we're just in deep pain, sometimes the intuition we're getting might be a little bit cloudy, which is
Mhm.
why you want to go to a life coach. And then that life coach would help you, okay, get some counseling or something deeper. So, intuition 100%. But if you're not sure, about that intuition, and if you're really in deep pain, get someone to help you figure it out. And the easiest person to get is a life coach because they can just bring you back, do the steps, build on what's good. So, find out what's good, build on that foundation, get rid of what's not good so you can be the person you were meant to be in this beautiful life that we have that's usually, it's changing all the time.
Yeah, and it's great. Having a life coach gives you a view of it from a different angle that you
Of
might
course.
not even see. We have Mike checking in from San Jose, California. Instant feedback, steve@gmail.com if you want to reach us. He says, thank you for your talk on change today. I'm thinking about selling my business and retiring. My wife feels that we should sell in the future because she has a role in the business and she'll need to find a job at that point. I'm conflicted, but I feel it's the right thing to do. How do I navigate that? Hmm. So
Yeah,
it sounds like he's got a business. He wants to sell and retire. She has a role in the business. Apparently, it's a job within the business. So if he sells, and I guess his dream is to retire, not her dream, so she'll have to find a job. How do you deal with
yeah.
that one?
Yeah, and that's a great question. Thank you, Instant Feedback, for calling in. It's imperative that we keep that love relationship solid. So they really have to sit down and talk about it. And what I would do is do some time goals on it. If he could
Hmm.
help his wife navigate somewhere else that she could go, that would be great because she's saying that, you know what, I don't want to retire. I love working and I'm working for you, honey. And so if that's gone, then what do I do? So maybe he can still meet his goal of getting out of the business, but maybe he needs a little bit of a longer timeline, help his wife to find something she can go to right now so she will still have that value in
Right.
working, and then they can, accommodate both. So it doesn't have to be tomorrow that he has to sell the business, and certainly it would take time. So time goal, that's what I would do. Talk to
Hmm.
his girl, his wife, his queen, figure out, what he could do to help her get something else, and then they can still sell the business so they're both getting what they want. It's always, Steve, I find in relationships, if we just listen to one another, really listen, often with a life coach or like he wrote in from a third party, it's that communication piece. And if someone else helps you to hear one another, a lot of what goes on in relationships, we can make sure that if each person is heard, the conflict is over. That's really it. So that's what I think. Slow down just a little bit, give a time
Hmm.
goal, help his girl, and then they can both get what they want. And it would be good news.
You know,
Let him, yeah,
looks like they're in good places. I mean, she's employed
yes,
because of the job that he or the business that he wants to sell, uh, and he's going to retire. So,
yes,
like my mom always said, best time to find a job is when you have one. So, work with your
exactly.
wife to find it. And you know what? Maybe there's even a possibility. We don't know the dynamics of the business, but whoever buys it, maybe she could have a role in it
That's,
contractually so they don't
yes,
take over and get rid of her.
yes.
Maybe there's a plan there. Maybe she is thinking about retiring in a few years, and maybe she could continue that role for another couple of years. Built into the
Of
sale of the
course.
business. Yeah,
Of
yeah,
course, and that's a very good point, Steve. And like I said, with my business background, that's often drawn up in contracts. If you're selling a business, you keep key employees,
right.
and then you can put that in, so she may not even have to go somewhere completely foreign. So there are many ways that they can traverse this. So both of them are happy, heard, get what they want, and continue being in love and not have a contentious situation.
So I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we're talking about changes. What's
Yes.
the most challenging change you've ever had to make in your life?
I'm going through it right now. It's called hormones.
Yeah,
Steve, let the Jamaican come out. You understand me, Steve? Yeah.
wagwan.
Walk on, Steve. Walk on with hormones, Steve. Lord, I'm hot right now. I'm hot right now. I'm telling you, Steve, that is, when you're out of control and you're talking about changing, Steve, and how it's difficult for all of us. And you mentioned I like things certain way. I am very organized. I like things certain way. This thing called hormones came up, and it doesn't mean anything. My body has been hijacked, and it affects everything. And it's interesting because I coach people a lot of times. Hormones cause brain fog. It can cause a depressed mood. It
Mm,
certainly changes the body. We talk about wisdom life coach beauty from the outside in because
yep.
of my background as a fashion model. Listen, my nickname was Black Barbie. I did not give myself that nickname, people. I'm not, others said that. I'm telling you, not Black Barbie like right now. But the good news is, I'm excited about change that I'm going through and changing it back. And so, whenever we have difficult things that we have to confront, look in the mirror, strange things, because I'm finding it very strange. Um, the excitement for me is figuring out how do I get through this change. And I don't quit. I'm tenacious. And I'm the same way with my clients. We don't quit. Because if we've quit, whatever it is out there has won. And I don't believe in that. So I am going to do this change right now. And I'm here. People are going to watch me go through it. And by the way, that change, men also go through menopause. Menopause for women, menopause for men. We all go through it. And so, there are a lot of incredible doctors, incredible things out there. A lot of times it's over my clients' heads. It's what are they talking about? What's the name of this hormone? What's going on? And so I take the complicated because I have an integrative health background, which is nutraceuticals.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand all that jargon. I take the complicated and I make it easy, and we change through that together. Hot right now.
Rastafari, rude boy, bring it down, calm down.
Lord have mercy,
That boy
Steve, you're
say.
Jamaican. You're Jamaican for real, Steve.
So-
Yeah, you know.
So, do you know Rod Stewart, right? I mean, he's an
Yes.
icon, music icon. We're
Yes.
talking about music. Do you know what
Yes.
he's doing right now?
Tell me.
He's not working on new music. He's not working on a tour. He's not, selling his music catalog. None of that. He's taking classes on menopause so he can deal better with his wife.
Okay, stop it. Oh my
Go
goodness. So
Google
we're
it. That's what
talking
he's
about
doing.
love
Right?
relationships.
Right?
What a great husband. Men, that's a great idea because it's a whole nother level of change. That's
Yes.
amazing.
And that brings me to another point that I think we should explore before we even finish up today.
Yes, sir.
Changes that you have no control over. Sometimes things happen and you got to go, you got to pivot in another direction. And you weren't planning on that change. How do you embrace that? How do you deal with that? I often say, don't worry about the things you can't control, like people. You can't control somebody else. That's
Yes,
on
of
them. You
course.
just stay in your lane, do what you got to do. But dealing with those changes that you weren't expecting, sometimes that's a challenge too, right?
100%. And as a world, we all know what that looks like because we've had to change a lot. Let's just say, roughly 3 years ago, we had just to change in our life, and we all had to pivot in many ways. And here's something interesting about that change. Had it really not been for that change that was so uncomfortable for most of us, I probably wouldn't have met you because now we're doing this via Zoom. I had to change my life coaching
Mm,
practice. Trust you and I are a people person. I love the face to face one on one, and we just couldn't. Something completely out of our control.
true.
However, often when there's something out of our control and something painful, for instance, if someone died suddenly, it's the world we live in. What I always tell everyone, because the complexity of us being human, we have our physical, we have our emotions, we have our intuition. Let's go through it. Don't try and bury it. That's the worst thing we can do. So we go through it emotionally. So change. Oh my goodness, I have to change this job. Oh my goodness, we can't see each other face to face. And you know what's interesting? If we look at changes, the strange of change, I love that out of was it
David
David Bowie?
Bowie.
David
Yep.
Bowie changes. I love
Hmm.
that. If we look at the strange of change in our lives, often when we get through that, there's something good on the other side that we would have never seen, we would have
Yep.
never experienced because it
Yep.
just came upon us and we had to make a change. And so that's one of the reasons why I love change. I've had to do that as a very little girl and throughout my entire life. And it is just life. And so you get a life coach who isn't afraid of change to help you look at the strange of change, like the great David Bowie, and make it work. And it's amazing what we get, the gift on the
Yep.
other end.
Yep. I 100% agree with you. And sometimes you don't know what it is. You don't know what that gift is going to be. Uh,
Yeah.
there's another song. It's called "Part of the Plan." It's by Dan Fogelberg. Came out in the '70s.
Oh, wow.
Wasn't a big hit, but really, the song talks about change, and there's a plan. Whatever the plan is,
Yes.
maybe the universe or whatever, and one day we'll all know. One day we'll all know the plan. And I think
Very
it'll,
true.
whatever it is, it'll be revealed. Like you said, you go through a change, you weren't expecting it. Usually on the other side, there is something beautiful waiting for you. Sometimes it takes longer to get to the other side, sometimes not so much, but you don't have a choice sometimes. So you got
We
to go
don't have
through.
a choice. We have to
Yeah.
go through it, feel the emotion, have someone help you.
Yeah.
Feel the emotion, go through it, and come out on the other side feeling good. We go for the good no matter what together.
Yep. And you will walk with anybody through that change. If somebody wants to find you, what's your website again?
wisdomlifecoach.com. And the best way to get a hold of me, especially on our podcast, it's through email because that takes out every other way people are trying to get a hold of me.
Sure.
Info at wisdomlifecoach.com. Wisdomlifecoach.com, info at wisdomlifecoach.com. Let us change together.
Change is good. Just keep saying it. It is.
Yes,
It
it
is. Don't
is
be
good.
afraid of change.
It is good. It is good. And thank you for all the memories of music. Possibly I triggered it a little bit from the
You did.
background today, but I love it. That's how I change. I listen to music. Music is often great to take us through change.
Well, yeah, because it can bring you back to a comforting time. So change you back there, but then you can change your mindset in a second. You can go to the gym and rock out. And so it's like, man, I'm pumped up. This is good.
Of
Yeah,
course, of course.
I'm waiting for the invite to your rock room there.
Listen, Steve, we have to do it, and we can show you how to strum on that guitar to some of your favorite rock songs. By the way, I started to learn to play an instrument when I hit the big 4-0.
Oh,
I
wow.
won't tell you which instrument, it's not a guitar. So that's another great thing about youthful aging. We can do all these amazing things as we age.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? Tomorrow's always another day. It's never guaranteed. So, make the most of this one and roll with
Of
the
course.
changes. Roll with the changes.
Yes,
Genevieve,
yes.
great having you on. Great talking with you, and look forward next time we get a chance to get together.
Thank you so much, Steve. Appreciate you.
Thank
Have
you. I
a great
appreciate you
day.
too.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.